Good morning. Good morning. How are you this morning? How are you guys keeping? Today, I'll have a talk, little chat with Marie Nugent. Just waiting for her to get online. And we will be talking about mother's guilt. What is being doing to us. And there she is. I am and we'll be talking about mother's guilt today. What it's been doing to us, mentally speaking, spiritual speaking, and everything else in between. Good morning.
Hey, Sancha, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Let me just fix my phone here to see if you can get me. There we go.
Yeah, not too bad. Been a busy
Can you
time.
hear me?
So yeah, looking forward to the weekend.
Just waiting for Marie to get back on. Here we go. Can you hear me now? Yep.
Yeah. You just froze for a minute.
I always do sometimes. Internet connection today.
Well, it's technology. It's just what happens. So it is. Yeah. So
uh,
I came in. We've got a cat that comes around and says hello, but won't come near you. I came into the office this morning and it was sitting on the window behind me. So that was really nice.
Ah, that's lovely. Sometimes we have some cats going around the back garden, but they don't come.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, because I can see your little line going round and round when you're buffering.
Yeah, sorry about that. So once again, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Sanch. I'm a holistic therapist from Better Self Holistic. I am a theta healer, and I'm here today to bring uh, Mary Nugent that kindly accept my invitation. So today we're going to be talking about the mother's guilt, what it does to us,
Oh yes,
um,
yeah.
and how that affects us. Can you go back?
Then yeah, if there's low lying cloud, I think it affects the atmosphere. It
Mm.
just it shuts everything down.
Oh,
Anyway, so we're back and we're talking about guilt and mother's guilt in particular, something that we all have.
yeah, absolutely. So, Marie, if you don't mind to introduce yourself to our viewers and we crack on.
Excellent. My name is Marie Nugent. My business is called Time to Sparkle and Shine. And I am a holistic mentoring for women, particularly that are going through challenges. I deal with thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So when situations come up that bring you into overwhelm, that's where I come in. Just calm everything down, bring in the clarity, bring in the whole thing of self-empowerment, and calm the energy down, because a lot of the times when we're going through big stuff, there's a lot of drama, and we all know, we've all had drama in our lives and we know what it feels like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'd
Oh
like,
yeah, and I also, yes. So I did actually, just in case people don't know, I studied energy. So I did Reiki, integrated energy therapies, worked with the angels, then did holistic therapies, so studied reflexology, Indian head massage, neurolinguistic programming, which I found was the most powerful course that I ever did for myself, and emotional freedom techniques. So all of these things all help me to stay on course, particularly through challenging times. And it's not, there's no denying it that it's one of the times that we're going through. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose now with the pandemic going through a year already, we are in the
Yeah,
situation as women and mothers, especially, where we have to work and some of them work at home, work, some of them has a job, a full-time job, has a full-time job as a mother and still have to
yeah,
homeschool the kids when the kids were off
yeah,
and have everybody under the same ceiling 24/7 for months. And
yeah.
and I'm sure that the guilt was really high during this moment.
Totally, and it's something it's something that's programmed within us. I believe because for generations, women their role were they were seen almost as a threat, so they were confined to the family, and that became their area of that's where their focus was. And I see it even like with my mum. She's in her 90s now, bless her. She's still hale and hearty, thanks be to God. But a lot of her experiences that she remembers more about my life than I do. And that was simply because her life was lived through her children's experiences.
Mm.
Mine was slightly less, as in was out and working, but that didn't actually, that just expanded the burden that you were carrying, because not only did you have the family, but now you had your work and the people within that, and you had another thing that was added to you that you carried. Basically, that's so they all became heavier and heavier. The house, the home, the children, the partner, the work, the clients. They all became more and more layers of that you held. And as women, we tended to put ourselves last. I remember when the first course that I ever did with myself, and it was a gift to myself, and it was called Who Am I? And it was because I had played so many roles over the years in making sure everybody was happy and everybody was taken care of. And it got to the stage where I lost my sense of self. And that's what can happen as a mother if you're constantly giving and giving, giving. And, it does feel good to give.
Mm.
We wouldn't be doing it if it didn't fill us up in some way. But we never, we were never taught to give to ourselves first, or even what that actually meant. And that's why, for me, seeing Sancha and her age group, all discovering what it is, that I don't have to be carrying this around with me, this is something that I can do about I, as a person, am separate from all the roles that I play, and I am of equal importance, if not more so, because I know they have that whole analogy of, like, if you're on the plane, you have to put on your oxygen mask, but it's actually quite true. You do have to, you have to do what nurtures you, and that as a woman is particularly challenging, and a mother is even more challenging, because the love we have for our children sometimes can be bigger than the love we have for ourselves.
Yes, I have a motto with myself here that is happy mom, happy home, which is
Yeah,
I have to find a way during the day to make something that will be for myself, even if it's just buying flowers in a supermarket for myself,
yeah,
that brings joy to my little heart. You know,
yeah,
we get so caught up with the to-do lists, with the running around, and the whole agenda of the kids, of the life, of all the responsibilities that we end up having during the day, during the week. Like, I live my life in a calendar that today is
yeah,
this, tomorrow is that, and I have to do this, and like the to-do list is endless and it's exhausting.
yeah,
And then in the end of the
yeah.
day,
No, it is exhausting. Yeah, and I could, because I know when I was, when I would have been carrying it around in my head, the lists of things that I had to do. So that was pretty, from a head point of view, the pressure even of just, and I, because I was a neonatal intensive care nurse, so a lot of the work that I was doing was on adrenaline, because that was the type of job that it was. So I brought that adrenaline home because you don't just park it.
Hmm.
And you can do that, and it can be exciting and it can feed you, but you can only do it for a certain length of time. And then slowly but surely you find yourself, you're winding down and you're getting slower and slower and you start to forget things. And of course, when you are stressed, your body is filled with cortisol. And one of the things that cortisol does, it basically switches off your brain, so that, that you start forgetting things. And then you have to be writing lists. But the primer at the top of that list has to be what it is that you can do for yourself. I don't think you'll ever lose that whole sense of that you're there for your children.
Hmm.
Because my kids are in their 20s now and I'm still there for them. But it's the ability to try as they're getting older to allow yourself to take a step back,
Yeah.
to allow them to develop their own sense of self, because the more we tell them what to do and what to think and what you should be feeling, it doesn't resonate with them, and they lose their selves and their ability to make decisions. So, sometimes it's a bit like, this is what I've discovered,
Yeah.
that the more, sorry, go on, Sancha.
No, no. You're saying that, and it came in my mind now. Like for my generation now, that the social media is so present on a daily basis. I think that the how do you say, the pressure to be the perfect mom is so high, because
Yeah.
even though we know that what is posted on social media is not the reality that it is, but it's like sometimes and some of the people are actually getting paid to show perfection.
Yeah.
um is that constant reminder, like we keep thinking, am I good enough? Did I do enough for my kid? Did I feed them the right food? What can I make them happy today? What can I do today to make their life easier? What it's like, it's a constant questioning yourself, that in the end of the day you end up forgetting to listen to your own voice.
Yeah, and you've hit on a good point there, because yeah, and it's all about everything is like channeled out through you. It's like, as you say, it's about particularly being challenged over the last while. But one thing I've learned is that we are here for a reason. I do believe in divine plans, and I do believe in family souls that come together. And one thing that I talk to my clients about is your children picked you for a reason. And the reason is that you can be the best person that you can be. And in doing that, then you not only light up your life, but you give permission to them to light up theirs. And the other thing is also that every experience that you go through, we don't come in knowing everything. A lot of it is we're figuring it out as we're going along. So, but yeah, and part of it is that the kids, that our children are also here to help us to do that. Maybe to question the generations that are coming in now are coming. I feel, and the sense is that they're coming in with less issues, but they are here to change the world. And as a result, if we look at and enforce our world onto them the same way as it forced onto us, that will be doing them a disservice, because they are here to push boundaries and they are here to look at the world a little bit differently. And I think that's great. But as a result, it's more challenging for parents, because they're not going to be the picture perfect. You know, they're going to challenge you in ways. My biggest challenges, you know, came from my kids. My youngest in particular, she challenged me in every way possible. And in her challenging me, she challenged my belief in the way I looked at the world. And that was a good thing, because I learned to let go of a lot of stuff that wasn't actually important, and to focus on myself, and also to take a step back. You know, as parents, we do hold the energy for your family, you know, so you do. And in doing your best for yourself, you're also doing your best for your children. We don't have to be there 24/7. You know, we had no choice over the last year, but in reality, we don't. You know, they need to be living lives and discovering parts of themselves. So, you know, for school, the microcosm of developing relationships, at home, what it is to be safe, and to how to safely de-stress, you know, so that they can let off. And the mother creates that space that allows them to do that and not to take things personally. Because part of what we do is we also take on our kids' experiences. And then, you know, we're right, because it triggers within us, and then our emotions are triggered. So guilt is something that we can actually work on, very much so. And the more we nurture ourselves, the less guilty we feel, or should feel.
I agree. One of the things that I have done to help me to navigate motherhood was don't listen to too much opinions of other people's from the outsiders.
Very important.
There is so much toxic positivity out there, if you know what I mean. That I'm just the positive criticizing that, like, sometimes makes you question yourself and what you're doing. I learned to listen to myself first and observe my children, because they tell us what they want and what they need. It took me time. It took me time also to accept that I'm not perfect, that not everything that I'm going to do is going to be 100%. And I learned to have an honest conversation with them, to tell them, even though they're small, but to show them that I'm also a human being, that
that's really important.
Yeah, like, and what made the result of that is, like, they show more, how do you say, not compassion, but like, the word, I don't have really a word for this, but like when I tell them, for example, Mom is so tired today, I have a headache, I cannot color with you right now because I need the time to just take a cup of coffee and sit here. We can do that later. Is that okay? They do understand that I need that space. And they're only 4 and 5. This kind of stuff, like, have an honest conversation, like, today was a long day for Mommy, I'm so tired. Or I am so happy today because Mommy got this at work and this happened and my friend is happy. You know, to show them that the relationship that also they have as kids in school, you also have that as an adult, that you have friends too, and that your friend is happy. That kind of stuff. Show them that the life continues as adults as it is as a child. We have different responsibilities, obviously, but that we continue on. Like, I tell my 5-year-old that, like, one day you will be an adult, and the reason why I'm teaching you to put away your toys, to keep your stuff, like take a uniform from school and take to the laundry basket, is because when you grow up, you will need to do that. And we have to keep on doing that. And by helping me doing that little step, that takes one of my to-do lists of the day. So then I have a free time to color with you later. Because then mommy won't be
Yeah.
busy all the time doing stuff, because you know yourself, the kids always want our attention, always want us to be playing with them and that kind of stuff. But we also have the responsibilities of the day. And what I found during the pandemic, especially because they were home all the time, was to keep them happy and entertained for the moment they wake up early in the morning all the way to the time they go to bed, because they didn't have the school structure to keep them
Yeah.
ongoing all the time. And that was like, and I felt guilty that some days I really
Yeah.
didn't want to do it, anything. I didn't want to color. I didn't want to play Barbies. I didn't want to go to a park. All I didn't want to do was sit down on the couch or at the chair and have a cup of tea in silence. For
Yeah. I
got
think
on,
every mother can relate to that.
yeah,
Yeah.
we got on, we survived, but it's that kind of how do you say, putting myself the pressure. I saw
Yeah.
like social media also was like, I stepped a little bit away of my personal social media. I only stayed on for my business one, in terms of watching other mothers doing everything, going for plays and coloring and doing crafts. Well, I wasn't doing that because I felt so overwhelmed by doing that. And I was like, no,
Yeah.
my reality is my reality. My kids is my kids. And if they have that, that's brilliant for them, but it's not happening here. And I had
Wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great if sorry for interrupting, Sanjay, but wouldn't it be great after that picture perfect moment, you show them coming home where the children are having a tantrum because they're not getting their own way, because that's more like reality. So it is. And I think that's the other thing as mothers, we need to stop judging each other. Everybody has their own way and has their own path. And everybody's child or children are different and have different needs, as you well know. And also the other thing is that we have been programmed. This whole thing of that the sacrifice, which seems to be ingrained and would be, the mother sacrifices. She sacrifices herself for her family and for her children, as if her life doesn't count, that's why, she was there. This is her reason, for life, is that she was sacrificing. And everything that she did was like, oh, she was the best mother in the world. She fed us all before she fed herself. She made sure, and it's really, it's this that can become like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because you mimic what you know. And
yeah,
for mothers that would have done that for their children, then, their children can find themselves in the same role and really uncomfortable about it, because for them, this does not feel right. I deserve to be seen. I
yeah,
deserve to be heard. I deserve a life. And it's not just as a mother or as a wife or as a client or as a whatever role it is that you are, whether you're a business person or not. But we are more than the roles that we play. But we have to nurture ourselves so that we can bring ourselves to these roles. And that's why I feel a lot of women, feel like frauds or feel like imposters, because they haven't had that, generationally they haven't had those role models back through the the 50s, the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, that they haven't had. Their parents wouldn't have had it, their mothers wouldn't have had it, their grandmothers wouldn't have had it. And we do carry, those cellular memories within us. So a lot of what it is that we're doing And that's why it's so great to see, younger mums embracing this, realizing that the world isn't picture perfect, that, that their life is for them as important as everybody else, because we need to teach that every life, women in particular, men also, because they were pushed into roles. We're talking about a time where we're coming into balance, where women are rediscovering, and we don't really want to be going. We've already had, the patriarch for like 2,000 years, thereabouts. We don't want to go the other way and going into totally feminine, because that isn't the world in balance.
Yeah.
And I remember reading there was a radio presenter, and they were saying that if the habits for men and women to get into balance was going to take maybe about 70 years. I think in the last year that has probably been fast-tracked, because it has brought people up close and personal, men into the reality of what it is to actually be looking after children at home and working. And for women, maybe the fact that they can actually share, that they don't have to take that burden on themselves. They can allow their men, they may not do the same as we do, but all of these things help us to let go of that guilt, because we're sharing the load, we're sharing the burden, and that's what our children need to see. Not that their mother is sacrificing them for themselves, because that is making her less than and making them more than, and that's not balance in life.
That's so true. I agree with you.
Yeah.
It happened in my house. My husband stayed at home. Stayed at home during months. During the first lockdown, this third lockdown, he stayed at home during months, and I stepped back, like he did, while the kids. There was a point where the kids were back in school, but we were still in lockdown. He did the school runs. He got them.
Yeah.
In the morning, he did the school runs.
Yeah.
He did that,
Yep.
and he saw some of my reality.
Yeah.
I'll give a fresh example. Last night, my son woke up at 2:30, thinking that was broad daylight, and he decided to.
Oh.
It was fun. That's why coffee all the time with tea here. And he decided he was ready for the day, and it took me a bit of time to get him back to bed.
Yeah.
Right after I put him to bed, not even 10 minutes later, my daughter wakes up. My nose is blocked. And all that I was thinking, like, I just want to go back to bed. I just want to sleep.
I know. Sleep.
Nose was blocked.
Yeah.
I put the medicine in the nose, put her back to bed. Okay, let's go back to bed. Finally, that was like 3 o'clock in the morning already. Fast forward 15 minutes, 20 minutes, I don't know how long after, my daughter wakes up, comes back to my bedroom and say, I just vomited. And I'm like, here.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. The reality. Now, this is what, the picture perfect, showing your daughter. It's like, this is motherhood, or part of motherhood,
Yeah.
And it's to make so that you don't have this, when you look at something, because obviously the picture perfect triggers something in you, of what your ideal world looks like. But nobody has the ideal world. Everybody has like thoughts and hurts and anger and resentment and tiredness, lack of sleep. Like all of these things are behind all of these pictures.
Exactly. So this morning I told my husband, you go do the school run, because I'm not capable. I I didn't, like, one of the things for me that breaks me is the broken sleep. I can sleep blocks of 5 hours, 4 hours, as long as I sleep them straight. If I get them broken, I am dead the next day. Like, my brain capacity goes to really little. So I was like, oh my God, and then change bed sheets, get things clean, blah, 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 put the child back to sleep again. And then this is the kind of thing that nobody talks about when you are pregnant, that nobody prepares you for it, because the only thing that we know is the pregnancy, the part, the giving birth,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
the newborn is part of it.
yeah.
Afterward, you're just there,
Oh,
like,
but
you
I
know,
don't think anybody can prepare you, Sancha, for the reality of coming home with a newborn. I can remember coming home with Cormac, and I can remember lying in the bed and crying. I had a perfectly normal, healthy, my body was raging full of hormones, and he was a very longed for baby. And I can remember thinking to myself, what did we do? Our life was grand beforehand, and now look what we've done, and this is for life. And it was just part of that overwhelming feeling of when you come home that, but you see, nobody can prepare you for it. They can tell you about it. But really, when you experience it, you know firsthand that sense of I'm responsible for another human being here. And I think that's part of where we carry our guilt, because when we feel that sense of responsibility for another human being, then we take on that what we feel in our mind, taking care of them for life. And really, we don't need to do that.
exactly. And that for me, because like I had my kids here and I did not have any of my family to support me,
Yeah,
was what was important for me to have that strong friends that have been
yeah,
through maternity,
yeah.
that have been through the same stage that I did, that I was at that moment, and they say,
Yeah,
"Hey, it's okay.
yeah,
It's normal. What you're feeling is normal.
yeah. It's normal. Yeah, totally.
Is your hormones are speaking really high right now. It's okay. It's okay to feel that, because I felt lost having
Yeah,
having a baby and don't know what to do. I didn't have anybody to be here with me during that process, because my husband was there, but it wasn't a
but
woman.
it's a new experience for him. Yeah, and nobody can feel what you feel because you're the person feeling it.
Yeah.
And I can remember just thinking now, because I can also remember feeling almost like on your own, even though you were there with your husband, but this was something new that totally changed your lives. So it did. I mean, nothing lasts forever. And there's the whole getting to know of the new body and the new baby and the new experiences and all the things that you have to do differently that you've never done before. Your
Mhm.
sense and the sense of love as well, that comes with it when you have the time and the energy, of course. And you're not wondering, walking around like as if you have a baseball bat stuck up your behind because of the type of birth that you've had. you know? Yeah. The reality, not the picture perfect, all done up with the hair and makeup holding the baby. It's the fact that you're sitting, that you're sore and that you're, that your insides feel as if they've been turned inside out. This is it. But I suppose when you're expecting a baby, maybe you don't want to hear these things. Maybe you just like, do you know what? I'll deal with that later. Because for a lot of women, it's the actual birth themselves, the fear. I had I was a midwife, and I feared actually giving birth. So it's just, and that, was the baby going to be normal? Was everything going to be okay? We carry a lot of fears with us. So we
I,
do. And then we bring them, we still have those fears when the baby is born. And then it's like trying to find your feet afterwards, so that you can let go of those fears and you can just go into the nurturing and the caring. But yeah, and I think that's where the guilt starts.
Mm.
because you have somebody that's totally dependent on you. Am I doing this right? Am I giving him enough? Am I giving her enough? Have you got the right formula? Am I breastfeeding? You know, what should I do? And I think that's where the first overwhelm comes. And I think that's where a lot of the guilt that we carry stems from it. And it's because, you know, in previous, you know, going back centuries, people were part of tribes. So within those tribes, you had parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles. So you weren't meant to be, it's only in Western society, you weren't meant to be on your own doing this. You were
Yeah.
meant to have the, you know, the experience and the reassurance of family around you that were there saying, do you know what, it's fine, you're doing great. And giving them the benefit of the skills and the expertise. So we carry the guilt a long way. And a lot of the work that we're doing for ourselves is about actually letting go of that guilt along the way, because the more we let go of the guilt, the more autonomy we give to our children, excuse me, and the more autonomy we give is the ability to take a step, you know, is to give yourself that ability to take a step back. And that's really, really healthy.
Yeah, I remember now you're talking about having the tribe to help you and show you what to do and that kind of support. I remember that I was in a maternity with Liam, and I had Maeve before, and but Maeve was a girl, and
Yeah.
I remember asking the midwife, "Can you show me how I change his nappy because he's a boy?" I didn't know.
Yeah.
I asked them to show me how to bath him because
Yeah.
I didn't know how to wash him because he was a
Yeah.
boy. But
Yeah. Yeah.
those kind of fears and like, am I changing right? That kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. And
Um,
the child doesn't care once it gets fed and water. It doesn't matter how it's wrapped up, or once it's warm and you know, being fed when it cries, or being held, or being comforted. And nobody tells you about, you know, walking the floor, the sleepless nights, and frustration. You know, that feeling of frustration because your child isn't. And why isn't it? Because I'm doing something that it's, you know, feeling like this. More guilt, you know, on
yeah.
top of
Oh,
guilt.
the
Yeah.
list is endless. The list is.
Oh, yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I always tell my friends that once I became a mother, all my courage that I had was gone, and it
Oh,
was
yeah.
changed to fear.
Yeah.
And the guilt came in a package too, because like
Yeah.
I used to be a fearless person that would just like if you tell me like let's go next weekend to I don't know to Turkey and
Yeah.
the money and I would just grab the passport, grab the bag, and woo, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always being the kind of person that is like, let's do this, let's do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And then,
Life is very different. It's a different sort of adventure, but one that you're not doing on your own, you know, because you have
that
responsibilities now. Yeah.
and responsibilities. And I was thinking, if I do this, what is the consequences that it's going to bring to my house, to the kids? Am I okay to do this? Like another thing as well that came from my mind while you're talking is that the society as well judges you and makes you
Yeah.
feel guilty.
Yeah.
Whenever I had like finally I had the day off. The day I call day off from husband and children. I had a day for myself that I would want to meet a couple friends and go for a few drinks in a pub.
Yeah.
Simple things, normal things that a
Yeah.
mother is not supposed to do
Yeah.
because you're supposed to stay at home and live for your family and the children. They think that once you become a mother, you
That's
you don't have
right.
any
Yes.
you don't have any
Yeah.
wishes and wants anymore. And I
Yeah.
remember that once I finally got out with a couple of friends that they were also mothers. We got a mommy day off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we went to a pub and we had such a great fun, like it was light and it was
Yeah.
great. And then I remember somebody tell me, who do you leave your children with? And I was like,
Yeah.
don't burst my bubble,
Yeah.
don't burst my bubble.
Yeah, yeah.
And I can be very rude when I want to be, and it can be
No,
very like,
don't you?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I felt my bubble was bursted, and I told her, I was like, I left them alone. I left them alone.
Home Alone.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
like, and the people also forget that the kids, in my case, has a father.
Yes. Yes.
And like, it is okay for me to leave my children with with my husband because he's a
Yeah.
father, and I could
Yeah.
have a day off.
Yeah.
Was it expected also of a father not to get involved, not to change a
Yeah.
nappy? The
Yeah,
kind of,
but
this kind of
that's the
thing.
old conditioning again. Yeah, and the whole thing that pushed women only into, and almost pushed the man out of the family, and he became the provider. So a lot of what's happening over the last, the last number of years, and with each generation is coming up, is that whole thing of allowing men to be dads. And not to be criticizing them, to be encouraging them, because they are also essential. It's essential to have both role models, and not just that the dad works all the time. What does it mean to be a dad? What does it mean to be a mum? The mum doesn't have to be responsible for everybody and everything. If she is in a relationship with a partner, then they are of equal importance. But one thing that women do, and I did it myself, was because when I was home, and my husband was working, we equate what we do on a monetary level, and
Mm.
we bring ourselves up short, because I would have been the caregiver for certain stages in my life, and in my kids' experience. And I know that I felt that lack of income hugely. I felt I was less than, because I felt I wasn't contributing, because I wasn't contributing financially. And that's a huge thing. We underestimate what our worth is: the care, the attention, the love, the food, the heat, the house. It doesn't have to be tidy, because hand on heart, I'm not the tidiest person in the world. And I use emotion. So if I'm really angry or pissed off, then I can tidy, or I can iron again. So that's where I channel my energy into. But yeah, excuse me. But yes, we do. If we're not contributing on an equal level, we sometimes, from a monetary point of view, we see what we do as less than, as opposed to the fact that we are the glue that holds together. Your partner couldn't go out and work if you weren't doing what it is you were doing, what it is you're actually saving in childcare by staying at home, or being at home, or working, whatever it is, that, the money that would be going out. But you don't, because, well, for me anyway, there was something in me that felt less than, because I had worked all my adult life since I was 16, 17. So for me, and I wanted to stay home, I wanted to be part of it, but I didn't realize the impact that would have on me, on my self-esteem and my self-worth. But that was because I judged what I did with the money I got as well. You
Mm.
know, I
Yeah,
mean,
I know
that
what
that
you
was
mean.
just part of it. But yes, yeah,
I was telling my husband that I do miss working. I do miss going
yeah,
to work, and has like I used to work in hotels. So I had my desk and having tons of
yeah,
people. You could deal with so many people at the same time. It was always dynamic, and
yeah,
even though the energy level was really high, and I would come home like sometimes overwhelmed with the energy and everything because I'm a sponge.
yeah,
But I loved going to work,
yeah, yeah.
and
Well, it's been part of a team. But also you were feeding off the energy. you know, if it uplifted you. And I
Yeah.
think that's probably one of the hardest things, because you become a barometer for your family, you know,
Hmm.
so that you're the one that's uplifting normally, you know, you're the one that's creating the energy that, you know, that they can feed off of. And that's, you know, that's where you need to be fulfilled to be able to do that. And nobody can do it 24/7, because nobody is firing on all cylinders 24/7. You know, you were talking about the night you had last night. How could you, but today where it's wet and rainy, not think about, you know, I'm going to light the fire, and I'm actually going to just go with the flow and allow myself to recover. You
Yeah.
know, I don't have to be pushing through this tiredness. You know, allow myself an hour or so to have a cup of tea, put my feet up, recover, and allow myself, even have a nap, cat nap, you know, without guilt, because you can. Because the house is still going to be there when you get up. The kids will be coming home from school, but this is your space and your time, and to use it.
And this week I did that. This week I woke up feeling overwhelmed with anxiety to the point that
Yeah,
I was feeling chest pains. When anxiety comes to me, it comes really in a wave, and it affects
yeah,
me physically. And I really couldn't like get things to the ball rolling. I was just on that headspace that I was stuck.
yeah,
So I put the kids went to school, and after I had the that time frame of the kids in school, and I told myself, you know what, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to lay
yeah,
down on my bed and calm myself down. And I put some essential oils, you know, put some music on. It's just like allow myself to be.
yeah,
And and I took a nap actually. That was sleepy, and I woke up before the time to go to collect the kids, and I felt good.
yeah,
It's just
yeah,
about listening as well to this. Listen to your heart, listen to your body.
yeah. We've been told to be go, and women, that's what we do. You know, we're constantly going, and doing, and thinking. So when, you know, to embrace the opportunities that you have to do nothing are almost as essential as breathing.
Yeah, yeah. And not judging it also be kind
Yeah,
to yourself, so not judging ourselves
yeah.
like, oh, I haven't done anything today, I'm a horrible mother. No, like I've been talking lately to just be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
if you can be kind to yourself, you can be kind to others.
absolutely, absolutely, and teach our own children to be kind. Because
Yeah, and I think that's why women need to be having conversations like, you know, that we're having here. Not one that, you know, oh, I did this and this and this, not the doing part of it, but, you know, I felt, God, I really, you know, I really felt pissed off, or I really felt angry, or I really felt resentful. And you said, "Do you know what? You know, been there, done that. You know, that's okay. It's okay to feel like that. You know, it's okay to acknowledge how it is you're feeling. That's hugely important, because we've been taught in a lifetime of repressing, you know, of not rocking the boat, of not speaking, saying what it is that we actually feel. And so the usual thing is fine, you know, and then there's the joke out there, if a woman is fine, you know, she's not fine. And you know, you need the psychic abilities to be able to understand. And that was because we were and felt gagged for so long that it's taking us time to be able to find our voice, but one that we don't have to be angry to speak. Because
mm-hmm.
sometimes we, you know, we feel we need, it's almost like we need to be angry so that we can actually say what we truly feel, because we can let it out. Whereas we've never really been taught to, you know, about actually, do you know, I really feel like this at this very moment in time, um, without fear. And I think the other thing is then is that we fear the reaction of the person that we're telling, that they may not get it, they may not understand it. So that if we speak with anger, then they can get angry back. And,
the judgment.
And yeah, so that you know that, and then we both have permission maybe to say all the things that have been, had been building up. Whereas, how much better would it have been if we had, when we started feeling, or we had this realization that we gave ourselves permission to calmly talk about it, and also that we gave ourselves permission to give the other person permission to say what it is, so that if they react, then that's their problem. It's actually their reaction, that it really has nothing to do with you. Because we take on other people's reactions as well and make ourselves responsible for them. And then we fear them, because, particularly if they're angry or whatever. So, to get yourself out of that emotional thing, is that, well, this is the way I feel. And then give the other person, and that takes a little bit of skill, so it does, to be able to do that, because a lot of the time we speak when we're frustrated, we need an emotion to give us permission to speak.
Sure.
And usually when it's built up, so like a pressure cooker, when it's built to a certain level that we can't take it any longer, and then it goes.
Yeah, and what I feel like as well, if this mother doesn't have someone to talk to look for a therapist. Could be conventional therapist or holistic therapist. That's our job anyway. That's what we do. We listen with our hearts. We listen with kindness. We will talk. We will talk to this mother. It's okay. Your feelings are valid.
And we've also experienced it, Sancha. We've been in their shoes, been there, done that, got the T-shirts, know what it is. But also the ability to, it's a bit like, it's taken out that charge, that overwhelming charge out of it, and bringing you to a calmer space where you can see clearly. And because they're very different, it can be the same situation, but they're very different spaces. One is right in the center of it, where you're feeling it and you're basically on stormy seas. The other is a safe harbor, where you're looking at the stormy seas and you can say, oh, now I can see it for what it is. And I don't have to be out there. I can actually stay here and deal with it,
And that's our job, to help them and guide them. And I want to tell to who's watching us at the moment, feel free to inbox us, to send us a message. We'll be so happy to talk to you. If you feel overwhelmed with guilt, if you feel overwhelmed with something during the day, don't be shy. Like, talking to us.
You don't have to carry this. Women don't have to carry these burdens anymore.
No.
And the quicker you get rid of them, the better. Yeah.
Exactly. And we will also help you to pinpoint the root cause of it, and so you can identify the triggers that when the once again happen in your life, you'll be able to identify it and know what to do with it. And this is amazing when you have a professional help. The one thing is talking to a friend, which is amazing. Another thing is talking to a professional that is there to show you the root cause of the feeling of the problem, and then we work together towards you feeling better. And then because life, it is what it is, definitely going to face some sort of challenge in the future, that you'll be able to identify the trigger.
Absolutely, yes.
That's when you feel victorious, because you know already what to do, and your mental health, you feel like, oh my God, this is so amazing, because I was
awareness is power.
Yeah. So we will wrap it up, because it's almost an hour we are talking, and
that was a quick hour. And I thought we have nothing to say. No, I mean, when
Yeah,
we get together, we. Yeah. But
yeah,
all of these things are important, and there isn't a mother out there that hasn't, that doesn't at some place in or some stage in their lives feel, all of the things that we've been talking about.
absolutely. And if you want to find Marie Nugent, just follow her. I will leave here her Instagram on Time to Sparkle and Shine.
And
Follow
Shine.
her work and talk to her as well if you feel compelled to send her an inbox. She'll be happy to talk to you. And this live
Absolutely.
would be saved here on the Instagram, and I also afterwards I will put on a YouTube channel. Marie will do the same, so you can always catch up later with us. All right. Thank
Okay.
you so much, Marie, for your time. Thank you so much for this lovely chat, and I really appreciate
Uh,
your time. Thank you,
Hug
and
of
I
love. Sancha. Bye, darling.
we will come back with another live in
We
the near
will.
future.
Yeah.
And thank you
Yeah.
so much. And you have a lovely day. I really appreciate it. Have a lovely day, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.